We now move on to the other list of other speakers, and I'd like to give the call to Mr. Gay Mitchell for 3 minutes.
Mr. President, thank you very much indeed. This is indeed an appalling situation, and for those of us who give the lion's share of our time here to development issues and to African, Caribbean, Pacific Assembly issues, it really comes as a shock to see that despite the efforts we are making, people are working in these conditions and losing their lives in these conditions. But I'm really a bit perturbed to hear people get up here wringing their hands, saying how shocking it is and condemning always somebody else and usually large companies. Not all companies are unethical. But in our member states, when we seek to raise taxes to pay for our commitments in the public sector, including our 0.7% of GNI, the very same people campaign against paying these taxes. Do not pay your water rates, do not pay your bin charges, do not pay property taxes. And then they come and say, well, why aren't the governments of the day meeting their commitments? Do you know the garment sector is the largest export market for Bangladesh, amounting annually to about 15.3 billion people. What are these people to do? What are they to do if we will not come to their assistance? And here we are again in the MFF looking at the humanitarian aid budget and the development budget and prevaricating whether we're going to meet the commitments we've already entered into. I do think, as the rapporteur for the existing DCI, that as we now negotiate the new DCI, it is time we looked at perhaps some form of random auditing of the standards in these workplaces. There is no reason why we cannot provide for that in our legislation. I understand, Mr. President, that in the last 4 weeks, or in the 4 weeks since the Tazreen fire in Bangladesh, there have been reports of 17 additional outbreaks of fire in textile and garment factories. This is something I think that we should be very concerned about, and we should build into our development cooperation instrument to empower ourselves to somehow audit the sort of standards that a lot of companies located in Europe are perhaps blindly allowing to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. And there is a question to you. Are you ready to answer the question which is raised by Mr. Murphy? Okay, fine. So the floor is yours, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you. I presume the comments from MEP Mitchell were aimed at me, and perhaps he could explain the need to drag in domestic political issues here and explain how paying water charges or property tax is in any way necessary for us to meet our commitments in terms of development aid. If we didn't pay a fraction of the bondholders that we're paying and the government you support continues to pay, well then we could double, treble, quadruple our development aid, which, as you know, I would certainly be in favour of.
If we had done what Mr. Murphy suggests, the Irish government wouldn't be able to pay its civil servants, let alone pay its development commitments. And that is the reality of the sort of nonsense that we go on with. You want abortion? Have it tomorrow. Put up a sign here in the Parliament. People come in here constantly demanding things. And when some of us try to take the responsibility to raise the taxes and raise the charges to meet those commitments, the same irresponsible people stand up and they want to blame somebody else for what happened. Why doesn't the said member spend some time at the Development Committee? I don't think I've ever seen you at the Development Committee. I certainly don't think I've ever seen you at the ACP EU Assembly. There are people in this Parliament from every group who attend to it. You're not one of them. Take some serious interest in the plight of people and put their careers and their interests before your own selfish re-election interests for once. That's my response to you, Mr. Murphy.
Well, okay, thank you very much also for that hot exchange of answering questions. And now Mr. Cercas, 1 minute and a half.